Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Authors Quill. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday around the world. Of course, it may be Sunday for some of y'all over there in Australia and other places. But, I always say this. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in. We reach all the time zones in the world. I hope you have a beautiful day, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening for you, or late night, early morning for that. I know, one of my friends in the UK was griping at me yesterday because it was 5 o'clock in the morning when he started listening to the news show. He's like, I got to get up at 5 in the morning to listen to you. I was like, look, I can't help you live on the other side of the world. It's not my fault. But it is great to see how many people call in and write in and send this stuff. And it's also great to see how many people around the world are interested in just American stuff in general. Not necessarily politics, but even though they're interested in that, but just books, authors, illustrations, what's going on in our country, who do we like, who we don't like. What's that, Marco? We're not talking about Taylor Swift. No, save that for next Friday. You should have called in last night with that stuff. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Yes, you should have called in last night. I know like one song she sings. That's because of my grandkids. Other than that, I couldn't even tell you. Mm-hmm. What are you worried about? No, next Friday. Anyway, enough about you. Go on with yourself. Get over there to the side where you belong. We're not talking about that today. Elise, we have Elise Stephens with us tonight, and she looks like she's going to be a fabulous guest. So John's already chomping at the bit because we have John Goodwin with us.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about her story, Untrained Luck, from volume 35.
We ain't even going yet.
And it's people coming out any day now.
Oh, any day. I like any day stories now. Hey, don't mean to shut the studio door. My alarm system's going off. It's Bruce. Y'all can come into the chat room if you want to ask questions that way. You can catch us on 5 Facebook pages, 2 YouTube pages, and Roku and Rumble. But on Roku and Rumble, Roku doesn't have a chat room, so you're gonna have to use one of the ones off of the other ones. Rumble does have a chat room, but we don't use it here because it's not part of the StreamYard system. So hop on YouTube or hop on one of our Facebook pages, and you can sit in a room with us and chat. I mean, you can message me all day long, but I'd rather you come in a room where they can see it as well, where I can click it on and put the question where everybody can see it. But on that note, Elise, welcome. So how did you get here? Did you win something or something somewhere along the line?
Well, I won Writers of the Future back in 2019. I was in volume 35. I brought that with me. That's the volume I was in. So that's how I originally met John, and being a winner of that contest and going to the workshop and meeting the people I did and forming the friendships that I was able to make has made a huge difference for me in my writing career.
And she's forever in the top of my Rise of the Future winner list.
That's a good place to be.
What a great story. She came in. She had a tattoo on the back of her neck that said Writers of the Future. I went, oh my God, I love this woman. She's amazing.
No, man. That's getting brownie points there, man.
When I won Writers of the Future, which was a very big deal, very emotional, very milestone for me, my sister had a temporary tattoo made for me. And I'm putting it on in the morning on the back of my neck, and I'm talking to my roommate. I'm putting my hair up so that you can see it on the back of my neck. And I'm going, I need to walk in and announce to everyone that I have a tattoo. My roommate's going, this is Carrie Callahan. She's another winner.
I just saw her last week in Atlanta at DragonCon.
Yes, she was at DragonCon.
Yeah.
And she goes, Elise, it's not cool to point it out. It's way cooler if someone just finds it. And I'm going, they won't notice. They won't notice. And I'm standing there, and the photographer who has been following us all around for the day notices and starts taking pictures. And she goes, see, Elise, now you are cool. You don't point it out.
That's true. People, if it's there, most people will notice it. They'll come right up on it and see it. That's a very busy group we're talking about over there, so they kind of notice everything. I wonder, was it Maliva? Because Maliva takes a lot of pictures. She's like in picture insanity, man.
Jason, I think, was taking pictures.
Oh, Jason, yeah, Jason.
Yeah.
Mr. Red, as I like to call him.
Yes.
Yes. And if you would have caught your tattoo, then you would have had 50 pictures of that with Jason. He just would have gone in, of which there's one main one where it's just like it's a tight close up on the back of your neck there, showing that was in the photo album from the event.
Yep.
See, that's always stuff like that's always fun. That's always great stuff.
Yeah. So you're still in touch with all or a lot of the winners from 35?
Yeah. I wouldn't say all of them, but 5 of us have formed a writing critique group, and we meet every month on Discord, and we talk and share stories and critique each other's stuff. And we've started making a point to see each other at least once a year. We do writing retreats together. We just had our second one over on the East Coast in July of this year. And it's been really neat to watch each other grow and encourage each other through all sorts of different upheavals. One writer deciding, I'm going to not publish traditionally, I'm going to publish independently. 3 of us now have agents. We're showing each other contracts, asking each other questions. But the big part is that we are becoming better and better friends. We sing karaoke together. We go out and do pub trivia together. It's becoming relationships that I hope will last our whole lives, if not for a very, very long time.
Yeah, well, Dean Wesley Smith still has friends from Volume 1 40 years ago, from that first year when he was published there. Now, you went to Scott Card's writers camp, right?
Yes. That was even farther back. My son, who just turned 11, was about to turn 1. He was a baby when I went.
That was an amazing story. But Scott Card, when we were at DragonCon, Scott Card came. This is his first time coming to a convention in 10 years or so. And because we had the whole thing of like the cancel culture doing their thing on him. And so he hadn't gone out. So we've been working with him. I get him to do media, and he and Joe hit it off great when Joe had him.
A blast.
Yeah, total blast. And
everybody was telling me, he's going to be withdrawn in his shell. Shit, we were 15 minutes in. It's a good. You ought to listen. It's a good interview. Crosses a lot of topics. I mean, a lot of topics, and he gives some really good pearls of wisdom along the way, which is really nice. I was telling John, it's probably one of the, if it wasn't the best, one of the top 3 interviews I did last time I was down there.
Yeah,
it was just a really good interview all the way around. It was it's a personal interview. It was just him and I. There was no one else in harassing. It was a nice, quiet area, so we can get talking. I'm dangerous when I'm by myself because people get relaxed. Well, one of the worst things I ever hear when people write to me about being on the shows, on the different shows I was, Joe, you're just dangerous. It's like I think I'm talking to you on the phone. Next thing I know, I'm giving away secrets I'm not supposed to. I'm like, that's the whole point of being an interviewer, is to make you tell me what you're not supposed to tell me.
Right.
But he was a lot of fun, and I know everybody who listened came away with a much different understanding of who and what he was, and I think it helped him with him seeing John that year and being able to get that. I think that helped him to come out of his shell a little bit, which was kind of strange that he was ever in a shell, to be honest with you. But
he just got so thoroughly beat up on social media, and it's on issues that it's based on religion. It's like we're supposed to be in a country with freedom of religion, but you don't if it's not part of whatever the agenda is. But he came to DragonCon. We invited him there, and so he was at our booth doing signings, and it was crazy. They thought, "Okay, you need any help?" No, we got this. It turned out they had to have 4 volunteers help with walkie-talkies to do crowd control. He had 6 hours of signing. It was
that sounds painful, but also so good.
It was so good, and he was. It was so unexpected for DragonCon because they thought, because Atlanta is very blue, and so they were expecting a bunch of hate coming at him. And it was nothing but love. It didn't have one negative comment at all. And people were coming. I'd like to introduce my son, Ender. And here's a tattoo.
Oh, my gosh.
I've done a couple of different events with him. And every one, someone comes up and introduces their son named Ender. And they have different tattoos from the logos from different books. And one girl said, I don't have any book, but can I yell something at him? And Emily said, well, it's nice. And so she came up and just said, Mr. Card, I just want to say, and then she started bawling, I love you. This is amazing. Your stories have been so much to me, and blah, blah, blah. And then I said, do you want a picture? She said, oh my God, can I? Because he was doing pictures, he was talking with everybody, and he was so gracious, and it was just amazing. But the amount of people that came with their bags of books, and getting it for this and that person. And so he came the first day. On Friday, he was scheduled for Saturday. So on Friday he came. He was scheduled from 3 to 5 because he had a panel at 5:30 he had to get to. So by 3 o'clock, the line was already. We had to move it to the back wall because it was cutting across everybody in the booth. So it was all the way down the wall and then around, and it stayed like that for 2 hours. And Emily had to go. I said, "Look, this is the end of the line here because he's not going to be able to finish by the time he has to go to the panel." So the next day he came an hour and a half early to his panel signing, and people had already started queuing up. And so he kept it going from 3:20 to 6:45 because the show was over at 7. So finally at 6:45, the last person came in, but because he started an hour and a half early, he was able to keep up with the flow of traffic. So nobody had to wait more than 15 minutes, but it just went on for almost 4 hours. But it was just amazing. Just is how well received he was, and of course it did him a world of good just to get out of, because when you don't go to see people in person, all you have is social media, and social media can be very spiteful, very very hateful, and certain types of people like to come in clusters. They do the cluster foo bars, they come in and just all their friends, or they come in, they'll just do their hate stuff. And so he just was convinced that everybody hated him, and it was really good. He's so beloved. And I mean, his book is mandatory reading in so many schools still, for kids, Ender's Game. So anyway, it was really good seeing him, and he had a great time.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I told him last time I talked to him, I said, look, if you ever get in that position again, you give me a call. I said, I'll show you how to deal with haters. I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I said, I've been in the media for 30 years. I said, I'll show you how to deal with haters. I said, trust me, after they talk to me, they won't bother you anymore. Oh, man, because I can be really, really mean when I want to be. It's, I have, 44 social media pages. So it's like a practice for me. It's a thing that, it's easy. But I mean, social media does come in handy. It's got its uses. I mean, if you're out there selling books or selling, artwork, anything along that line, it's just another venue to sell stuff in. And it's also a good venue, to chat with people. You just got to watch that. Well, I don't know now. Facebook's changing, so it might not be as bad. And Twitter's changed, so it might not be as bad now. So it's a little bit easier to deal with, but you still have all the rest of the social media out there that's kind of one-sided. That's the problem. If it gets one-sided, it's hard to deal with. But I always show one-sided people while they're ignorant, so it usually doesn't last long.
Speaking of one-sided, so Elise, tell me about your sequel to Untrained Luck.
Well, okay.
I gave you 15, 20 minutes to prep for this. We started, and I get, 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go in.
So Untrained Luck was my winning story in Writers of the Future, Volume 35. It entails a mediator who's on her way to go solve a really highly emotionally and politically explosive situation between two drug lords. It's a really important mission. And while she's on the way to go do this, she ends up finding this very vulnerable street urchin child, taking pity on him and bringing him with her to get him out of a very dangerous situation that he was at risk for. She ends up bringing in what she doesn't realize is a child who has the ability to completely ruin this important job through the magical abilities he has that can change people's emotions without them knowing they are being changed. So Untrained Luck was very much a story about how we use our words to make peace, to stop violence, to prevent escalation of a disagreement into something that could end up in a bloodbath. But it was also about the choices we make when we choose to take care of someone in some kind of parent or guardianship position, and what kind of sacrifices we are asked to make for those things. So about parenthood, about peacemaking. So that was Untrained Luck. I actually wrote it in its very first draft which changed a lot during my boot camp with Orson Scott Card, back when my son was very little. The boy has a lot of characteristics of my son. He still associates himself with the boy in the picture in the artwork that was done for the piece in Writers of the Future, Volume 35. And I wanted to write more about those characters. So I have a draft of a novel, which is on the verge of going on submission with my agent, Von Hansen of Virginia Kid Agency. And the manuscript for the book is called Stand in the Stillness.
You met her at Superstars, right?
I met her at Superstars. Well, actually, I pitched a different book at Superstars, which is the one she originally read first. But so this is another one that we're chambering, getting ready to fire out into the world. But Stand in the Stillness is a continuation of the story with the young boy, Leo. He's a teenager now. He's continued to have these abilities that can change people's emotions, but people like him are seen as dangerous. I have no idea why. And so she has been trying to protect him from a world that would potentially harm him for what he can do. And he says, well, I want to embrace all of who I am, and I'm not being recognized as a full human. I'm going to join these political activists who are being much more forceful about pushing forward for the rights of people like me. So he basically joins what she would call a terrorist faction, and she sets out to go find and save him before he can become a pawn in someone else's war. Meanwhile, conflict on a much larger scale is brewing, with countries wanting to completely get rid of all people like her son. And she ends up being placed in a very precarious and pivotal place where she is being a mediator between nations and heads of state, while also trying to be a mother and let her child grow up to make his own decisions. So again, more about parenthood and using words to stop bullets, but on a larger scale.
Yeah, and when I read that first time, I read it, 5 years ago, I also saw the value of science fiction for addressing current affairs, current scene, like in this case, the Middle East, that was escalating. So I saw a lot of the Middle East stuff in your story, mm-hmm. and the way you're able to address those issues by putting in the future, science fictionalizing it, and changing the names to protect the guilty, So, but it was because I've seen that more and more and more. How I just interviewed yesterday, Mark Scott Zickery. He's the one that he wrote this compendium on the Twilight Zone, and he's written a lot of the screenplays for Star Trek shows and a lot of those things where he's been involved with those things, and talks about how when Rod Serling created the Twilight Zone, he was constantly being blocked by the censors because he was dealing with these issues of politics and religion and race and whatnot, and they kept on getting censored. So he realized that if he did something science fiction and remove it, he could discuss those issues and get away with it, which he did. So a lot of his stuff, and you see it also in the original Star Trek series too, they deal with those types of issues that you can't deal with straight. They're just so explosive, so incendiary that, like this, especially with the area that you're talking about there in the Middle East. Oh my gosh, I mean, you're living proof. There's always at least 5 people you can piss off at any given time. Any statement you make,
mm-hmm.
And I know Joe runs into this stuff here that's why he's the centralist and he's not left or right. He hates on everybody.
No,
so,
I do. I'm a general opportunity hater. Well, it's easier that way because, if my liberal friends will get mad at me and then they'll hear me hating on conservatives and they're like, well, but you're not a liberal. No, I'm not a liberal. And of course, my conservative friends like, Joe, but I said, I hate on the liberals. So I said, I like to pick and choose, what the important things in our country and try to. There's so much BS with the two sides. I just try to find the stuff that's important to us, to the people, not so
Yeah.
much to the people who are running, but to the actual people. Because a lot of what we argue about these days is more about the politicians than it is about us. So yeah, it's just one of them
But
things.
it's the very
And we also have to
civilians
remind
that
people.
suffer for that, especially like in the Middle East. You got the
Well,
civilians suffering for
and you
the.
have to teach people you can't vote for somebody based on their color or their sex. You can't even hire someone based on their color or sex. It's illegal in the United States. So you just have to remind people sometimes, look, vote for what they do, but not what they look for. Yeah, like, come on now, people. It's amazing because we've been listening to college kids talk lately, and I want to move to Russia, man. And it's scary over there, and I still want to move over there. Oh my God, it's crazy. But so before we go any further, though, what made you decide to get into writing? I mean, what was it? One day you were just milling around the house and said, "Okay, I'm gonna be an author." Did you go to school? Or did like when you were young, were you just writing on everything, driving your parents crazy and shit? Because I hear a lot of y'all authors get crazy and write on everything.
For me, it was something that began very young. I did get confused a little bit at the beginning because I thought it was about illustrating the stories rather than writing them first. So I was much more interested in what lavish, fabulous outfits my characters were wearing.
Cool.
That was how it began, illustrating adventurous stories that included lots and lots of ballroom dances with wonderful dresses in them with my cousins when I was around the age of 6. So we were doing that a lot. And then somewhere around the age of 10, I realized, oh, no, I don't think I want to be an artist. I think I want to be a writer. And so I was teaching myself to type on my parents' in the basement of my parents' house, getting like numb fingers in the winter because I was too interested and intrigued to go put on something warmer. And I studied creative writing at University of Washington, so that was still very much a dream of mine. And then continued to learn and practice and study writing after that.
And then it got you to where you were winter. Now it's got you to where you're putting books out all over the place. That's look. I like to see people follow their dreams. It's a rare thing. I do. I've probably done now well over 5,000 or 6,000 interviews, and it's rare to find someone who actually follows their dream. Usually, somebody will get started on it, and because of finances or this, that, or the other thing, they'll go off in a different record, or they'll be on their way to their dream. And someone will offer them some job that has nothing to do with it, like 3 times the money. So they're like, well, I'm gonna go this. So then they kind of take a break. And then I notice they'll try to squeeze in time in between. And I know it's got to make it hard. I mean, if you got a professional career and your mom raising a kid, it's it's got to be a little bit on a taxing sometime.
I am a homeschooling mom, homeschooling 2 children, and
Oh,
also
joy
writing.
for
So,
you.
so it is definitely a balancing act all the time.
Well, look, first off, hooray for homeschooling because kids will probably be better off. Look, I'm just saying, I got friends that do both, and sending a kid to public school today is like, let's just start them back 15 years behind everybody else, because you don't know what they're going to get taught. You really don't. At least you know. I know most states give you a guideline, but at least you know the key things you want your children to learn. And you're a grown ass adult. You've been in the world. You know some of the things that you just need to know. That for some reason schools tend to skip. Things that when you got to make those transitions into life or into college. There's certain things you need to know about the world, and I got to say, unless you go to a private school, you're not going to be prepared for what's coming. I've seen too many people in too many different public schools. It's a hard thing. It's like making your life twice harder. And then all my friends who homeschool their children seem to be, how can I say this politely without hacking off half our listeners? They just seem to be better off. I was going to say more intelligent, but we'll just say they seem to be better off in the long run. And I think it's a good thing. The only thing I've ever worried about was socialization. But I noticed most parents who homeschool their children make sure their kids get out and socialize. So
It's that is on the subject of homeschooling, that is probably the number one question I get. How are you going to socialize your children? But the really funny part is I love like I'm having a beer, I'm chatting with someone at the bar at a conference, and they say, okay, I always thought that homeschooled kids we're not very well socialized. There's always
so
going
true.
to be a portion of any group that is not well
That's true,
socialized.
but
And sure, yes, there are homeschoolers who don't get out very much, but it's hilarious to have them look at me and they go, but you're fine. Like, if I can do a case study, you're fine. In fact, Elise, you're more outgoing than I am, and I wasn't homeschooled. And I just kind of giggle, and I'm like, it doesn't mean that that is what's going to happen. It just is how you do it and what you expose your kids to, and why you homeschool. There's a lot of
yes.
different reasons people do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons they do it, and a lot of good reasons they do it.
Yeah.
All my friends, they always make sure their kids they're socialized. When I see them out and about, and their kids want to get out and go do stuff. They got friends, and with the internet now, you can connect to people and go out and see them afterwards. It's not like in the old days where the only way you could meet someone was to go to school.
True.
Today, there's just so many more opportunities.
Well, there's a lot of clubs now. You got the soccer clubs, you got softball, baseball, swim, all that stuff, and it's a total opportunity to meet other kids and do things and participate.
When it first came out, I was a little leery, but we're talking about 30 years ago. But today, I'm quite fine with it. We've talked about it many times on their shows. We've actually done specials on it and brought on parents who are homeschooling, single parents and couples. And when you look at the kids are well adjusted. They're doing well. Like you said, there's always going to be some in a group somewhere that, the parents might be a little, well, they don't ever want to leave their house kind of parents. But for the most part, that's not what I find. And I do find in general that homeschool children have a much better rounded education. It just seems like they're more versed in more topics than if they just went to school and were told the status quo. And of course, a lot of parents today are not happy with what's being taught in regular public schools. So depending on what state you're in, sure. It could be any damn thing. So it scares me, but see, they get exposed to you. So you're teaching them, and then they know mom's a writer. So that's got to help them out. They're like, of course, that might also drive them crazy. It just depends.
Right now, they like it.
When they get old, they might be, Mom, what are you writing about, Mom? It's funny. I know my son is, he loves when I do radio, except when I talk about UFOs. He's like, Dad, people think you're crazy. So they don't think whatever they want. I mean, I host 4 different shows, so it's kind of fun. But I always like watching y'all. I've been the Writers of the Future for, what is it? Let's see, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, and 35. So
were you there for her? You were there. You met Joe, Elise, at the Rise of the Future?
I don't remember meeting Elise.
Remember meeting you. I don't.
No, I think you were 36. You came the first year we had 36, 37. So you've been, I think 4 books, three visits.
Yeah. Is it 4 books? It was 5 books. I will tell you.
36, 37, 38, 5 books. Yeah, 5 books.
Yeah, 5 books. There was 5 books. Yeah, that's what it was.
36 and 37 was the same year because of the pandemic.
So I missed you by a year. So you got lucky. You escaped. I torturous the first time I interviewed y'all. This year was especially torturous because I had Carmen set up everybody 2 months or 3 months before Writers of the Future. And then I tortured everybody and said, okay, I'm only doing this so when I see you in Writers of the Future, I can torture you even more. Because there was some really good interviews. And I've told this to John. I have noticed, now that I've been with him for a little while, that they're like different classes. I mean, I don't mean class of people, but the way people react. They've had some really outgoing groups. They've had some laid back groups, some very quiet groups. In general, I find, though, that usually, especially with the authors, they tend to be in class. They tend to be a little bit more, hey, what the hell's going on? Illustrators a little bit more laid back sometimes, but it doesn't really matter. You just seems to be, there's always going to be 3 or 4 people who are going to stand out in each group that are going to kind of take the lead, which is kind of interesting to see. And what's nice for me is I get to watch the progression of them once they leave, because I keep up with most of them, not all of them, but most of them. A couple of them will host on the network. So, it's just interesting to watch. I have not met anybody yet, and I can't say anybody hasn't lied to him, but I have not met anybody yet that has not come away thrilled to be part of what was going on there. I mean, so did you have the joy of doing the 24-hour story?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. So, it was not a completely new thing, because Scott Card in his boot camp also makes us do a 24-hour story. which was how the very, very early draft of Untrained Luck was originally written. And so that complete panic, and I have prepared, but still, how do I write this entire thing in 24 hours? I did do it. There's a great photo of me at a Starbucks completely ignoring Jason with his camera as I'm writing. Like, I have no time for you. Leave me alone with my earbuds in, writing and working. I decided that there comes a point where you finish a draft and there is absolutely nothing you can do to make it better in the short term without giving it a long rest and going away. So I said, well, guess this horrible draft is done. And I kind of closed my laptop, called an Uber, and went to go visit my grandparents who live in the Los Angeles area. And I checked with Jody. She said it was fine.
Oh yeah.
And I went out there and I visited them, and I had a beautiful visit with my grandparents. I was editing my story on my lap as my Uber driver is trying to make conversation with me. I come back, I say, well, good enough. and I send it in, and was it Claude? I'm trying to remember who told me. So I said, it's okay. No one will read it. It's fine. It's terrible. And then a few hours later, they say, guess what, Elise? They picked your story for everyone to critique.
Don't you love that?
No, it's not good.
Don't you love that?
So that was a fun experience. I enjoyed the idea of taking different ideas and trying to smash them together. I think my idea was I wanted to write something about submarines. I wanted to write something about aquatic aliens, and I wanted to write something about a young man having to forgive his father who died by suicide. Who he felt abandoned by. So I wanted to take all of those and just figure out a way to tell a story that was somewhat cohesive. And I ended up with a dual narrative between the young man's point of view and the aquatic alien that has come from another planet, kind of as an emissary on a kind of a diplomatic meet the other species mission that has gone horribly wrong with meeting the humans. So I wrote it.
You named it The Abyss? You named it The Abyss?
I did not name it The Abyss. It went through several names, and its final name is Remembrance in Cerulean. And that story, as it kind of evolved, became very much a story of trying to make peace again between two groups that have had a really bad time of it and already have a whole history of doing it very poorly, and what forgiveness can do to the people who have been wounded in the midst of it. Interestingly, that is the story that ended up in Time Travelers, which is a collection of science fiction and fantasy written by all Palestinian authors.
Well, that's interesting.
So yeah, I'm pretty thrilled that there's even a writer's connection to that.
Let me put the alien down that was in my lap here. I don't know if you can actually see it because I got my camera kind of tilted. If you look behind me back here, so there's piles of books back here. And what I do is when an author sends me a book, it sits behind me.
Okay.
Because you can see Death of a Taxman. It's I like it, so it just stays up there. That's my own copy though. But what I do is I set them back there. You can't even see there's Wolf's book right there. It's hiding. But I put them back there, and usually somewhere along the line, we will give them away. Unless it's an autographed copy to me, we'll give them away. And but I like to let them sit back here for 60, 90 days, sometimes 6 months, because it's free advertisement, and I'm not actually selling. Every now and then I'll say something about the book, but it's back there all the time, and people see it all the time. And since we're on TV, you see everything. See, most you can't see right now what's back there, but that's a collection of most of the great philosophers and some of their stories. And you can't see it on the camera right now, but when you're on Roku television, you most certainly can. You can see everything. You can see even the little print down there at the bottom, the numbers, the whole 9 yards. So it's really nice. People will write to me. Oh, when are you going to give that book away? When are you going to get that book away? When you get the picture back there that John sent me a long time ago? You can see that one. every time I put that on air, first thing I get, oh, you're giving away. No, I'm not giving away. It's not taking the hell off of it. That's why I don't show it as much as I used to, because every time I show it on air, I get a 5 million texts. Oh, you're giving it away today? No, I'm not. It's just part of the background. That's all it is. It's back there for y'all to enjoy. But no, I tell authors all the time, and we do give a lot away. I mean, speaking of that, I'm glad I brought that up. I need to write myself a note. There's somebody I got to send the address to today. Because sometimes we'll send them from here, and then sometimes we'll have authors that will write to us and say, hey, Joe, you want to give a book away? And they'll send me like a picture of the book, and we'll give it away, and then we'll send you the person's address to send it direct. So it just depends on we leave that up to the different authors. We do it with the illustrators too, but it's just a freebie thing we offer for people who come on the network. It has more to do with our tie to writers of the future than anything else, because like the UFO authors, we don't really use it. We have so much paranormal stuff on the network that I usually let the other shows give those away. It makes it easier on me that way. And because we get a lot of different material. I was telling John, just for them, I think I'm up to over 100 interviews, 100. I think if you include the judges and all, like 140 interviews altogether. It's a lot. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of information too. But I've got some good stuff from the judges. I got them to spill their guts on a lot of things. Some of them are kind of tight-lipped that you got to watch. So I mean,
how'd the book do on the Palestinian 100% with all the Palestinian authors?
So far, I hear it's been doing very well. I haven't heard like specific stats from them, but my editor and my publisher have said that there's a bookstore that's sold out. It's selling really well, but I haven't seen like the numbers.
Well, I imagine it's going to get better when the world calms down a little bit. I imagine it'll get better too. It'll be easier to get out there and sell, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Carly, what was that? What are you asking? Is she Palestinian? Anyway, Carly just wrote in, wants to know why you were writing a book with Palestinian authors. I don't even know if that's any of your business, Carly, but I'll ask the lady anyway.
I mean, I'm Palestinian through my grandmother. I was invited to contribute to the anthology, and I was really glad to be part of a collection of specifically Palestinians telling stories, because even if we're not writing about anything that's overtly or intentionally political in any way, I think that where we come from and who our grandparents and parents were and are does impact our stories and the themes that we choose to put into our writing.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I've noticed, we'll use Star Trek as an example. Good authors have a means of putting things into their stories without not necessarily making them political, but still kind of giving the lesson along the way without hacking off the whole planet while they're doing it. I know it's walking a fine line sometimes, but and see, things like that I always love. I love stuff like that because one of our things is to try to make people remember that we're humans, we're Terrans, we're not Americans, we're not Palestinians, we're not Germans, we're not this, we're not that, we're all one species. People just get a grip on it and stop acting
did you see it was 2 days ago, the SpaceX is what, Artemis, is that's when it's up there right now, where one of the crew members was a violinist, and they did a concert. She played up there in space there. Her hair was just all fleeing all over the place. So she played the theme from what's the girl from Star Wars, the most recent one. She had a series.
Oh, Ray?
Yeah, Ray. Ray's theme. And they set it up so that there was pieces of orchestra all over the world, all these different countries. And so they're broadcasting her playing it. It's totally amazing. It was just like, it's totally that thing like we're one people, So it's this whole thing. She's playing on a violin up there, and she's so good, but she's there in the space shuttle, and so she's playing, and then they're connected in. The guy that wrote it, he's there helping to direct it, but they had United States and Brazil and Portugal and wherever in 7 or 8 different countries, they have pieces of the orchestra together, all wired up together, and they played this whole thing. it was just so joyous. It was just amazing. Just seeing. I just watched it again just before coming in here. I saw it first time yesterday, but it's so great seeing that. But it's one people, and like you can have whatever opinion you have on all these different ethnicities and like that, but they just can create this amazing music, international.
Well, the authors and different types of music are going to be what brings the world together. Storytelling is a good way to make people wake up. It's something that cuts through the politics, I guess, is what I'm saying.
When done well.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is. I mean, it's just nice to see people out there doing things and doing stories that contribute, make people think, and make people go, wait, why are we doing this? While I'm asking you that, what is your favorite genre? I meant to ask you that a little while ago and I forgot. What's your favorite genre to write in?
I write fairly equally in science fiction and fantasy. I still somewhat consider them the same genre. What I love to write about within that genre is relationships and families and the ties that can really just be strained and loyalties that are tested within the whether it is the new science that is pushing on those relationships between siblings, for example, or the magic that is pulling and really causing all sorts of havoc between a parent and a child relationship. I find stories of brokenness followed by the long, hard path to redemption within the science fiction and fantasy genre to be very compelling, and the ones I want to tell.
No, that's great. Actually, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be out there. And the fact, I mean, sci-fi has been used for helping the world wake up for a long time. It's just a shame that it's not allowed over the whole planet. Unfortunately, there's parts of the world that you don't really see sci-fi. When I was in the Navy traveling, there were countries I would go to that sci-fi, it wasn't banned, it just wasn't available, and China's a weird place. We're allowed to broadcast there under UFO Paranormal Radio, which is strange because they're very strict on paranormal and UFO stuff, even though their country's mystique is, I mean, it's just buried in this stuff. They're still a little bit strange. I think they're just leery about some of the lessons embedded in the science fiction is what I think it is. It's kind of counter to what communist teaches. So I think in some ways it just bothers them. But I do notice they're letting more and more stuff in. And they told us we could talk about anything we wanted, anytime we wanted, as long as we didn't talk about Xi Jinping. Well, it wasn't even Xi Jinping at the time. It was, I forgot his name, the last emperor. And they said as long as we didn't talk about him personally, we could talk about China. We could talk about anything that was going on. They didn't care. And we've been there now, since they gave Hong Kong back, or since before they gave Hong Kong back. We've been there. So it's an interesting just to see China open up to this. And we meet a lot of foreign people. The station crosses a lot of countries. And it's amazing to me how many people will get into American sci-fi and take something positive away from it. Not just the story itself, but which is fun because there's a lot of fun stories. There's a lot of serious stories. I read, what was it? The Forever Broken Heart the other day. It's a very sad story, but it's at the end it turns into solid sci-fi. It's just really weird. It's this really love dramatic drama story for like 3/4 of the book, and then all of a sudden at the end of the last quarter of the book, it's some kind of sci-fi weird adventure with the person who had the broken heart so they could get over it. It was a different way of healing yourself, but still, it just walked them through and showed how you can help your own self to get out of stuff. I love books like that. I think it's great stuff. I think we need lots of that on the planet because the world needs to heal, and anybody who can help heal should get extra brownie points. For just trying. I mean, I know it's we're not all Gene Roddenberry, Mr. Alien himself, but he, people like him and others are out there writing stuff that really make people think and want to be just loving, caring people instead of let's blow shit up. Excuse my language, because over the years that's what America has become. Let's just blow some shit up. I get more trouble for that on air than anything else, but. I'm just ready to see it. So I really appreciate you doing that kind of work. Anything like that is a good thing. I see you're trying to take the extra step with your kids and you're trying to take the extra step You want to do good books. You want to do stuff you enjoy, but you also want to do stuff that helps people think. And not every writer thinks that way. Or I should say every author doesn't think that way. There's a lot of authors out there, well, let's just be blunt about it, that just are looking for they don't care what the story actually represents. They only care if it's going to sell. And there's a lot of that out there. And it's and a lot of those, I hate to say, turn out to be, how can I say this politely? Not so good. I'll just leave it like that. I don't want to be rude. So now you full grown woman, you're out here writing books. You're going to be famous. You're going to be the next J.K. Rowling. So hey, look, remember, people forget she was nobody when she started out. A friend of mine asked me that the other day. She said, well, wasn't she famous? And I said, no, she wasn't famous before. She wasn't famous till afterwards.
She was a single mom that was almost on the street.
Yeah, she was a nobody. And I said, now she's not. She's a somebody. And he said, well, how? And I said, she sat down. She got serious. She wrote, and she changed the world. Whether you like the way it went or not, she did help to change the world in some direction. So what's that, Christopher? Yeah. We're not going there. Well, Friday night. What do y'all don't speak English? Friday night. Anything that's not related to what we're talking about right now, Friday night. Yes. No, John don't come on the show with us on Friday. He's scared he's going to get in trouble with the boss lady. Because we talk a lot of crazy stuff on Friday.
Boss lady means Emily.
Yeah, I'm talking about Emily.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you mean, Chris? Who's Emily? Emily's the boss lady. I just told you who Emily was. She's the boss lady. I just posted a picture of me, her, and Sarah just a little while ago. It's a really good picture. It's no, they spoil me when I'm there. Oh no, I can't. I'm not going to get into this because I've told these stories a million times. But all I can tell you is when, and you'll find out for yourself. WritersTheFuture.com. Go find out when, and you'll find out. Elise will tell you they're a great group of people. It's a lot of fun. It's a little intense. It's a lot lack of sleep, the best way you could say. I mean, how much did you sleep? I didn't get any sleep, and I wasn't even one of the ones writing. Shit, John don't get any sleep. And I know you poor people, because I was watching, like the 24-hour stories. I love Tim Powers always tells me, go hide somewhere where you can get them where they don't know you're looking at them, taking pictures of them. And I've gotten some really good pictures of some faces that are like, and then you'll ask them later on, what were you thinking? I was thinking I'm throwing this in the garbage, and then I wrote it. And a couple of people told me they wrote the stories, did all kind of stuff, and then they woke up at 4 a.m. and rewrote another story.
Yeah.
So that's like, you gotta be kidding me, man. They're like, no. I was like, well, I can understand it. But John has informed me, along with some of the other judges, that some of these stories go on to be books and stories that get sold.
Yeah. That's right there.
Pointing.
Yeah, you see,
right
there you go. No, yeah, you point right on.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about, people. Get out
there.
So
tell me about that book there.
This has my Writers of the Future 24-hour story in it, and this is the collection of Palestinian science fiction and fantasy that I was talking about earlier. It's called Time Travelers. If you're searching for it online, make sure you use the Canadian spelling of travelers, because it has 2 L's, not 1, and it is time as in the spice that is used in lots of cooking over there.
Yeah, that's not on your website.
No, it's not yet. It only released a few days ago, so I haven't added that to my website yet.
Okay,
but I will.
That explains it.
Yeah.
It's yes, we'll have to get a copy of that, because time travel, anything I like right off the bat. The fact is time travel is based on ethics. I mean, not ethics, but on ethic group. It really even is more intriguing, because one thing I've learned over the years. People from different areas of the country, or different, not just from the country, but from around the world, see things differently, so they write differently.
Absolutely.
And it's so much of a joy. I get in trouble all the time with the other half of me, because sometimes I get stuck on this stupid British comedy, which is, compared to Americans, is very, very dry, but it's funny as hell to me. It's just different. Also, one of the first things that got me hooked on sci-fi was British sci-fi. Blake Seven and Doctor Who. It was like this big when it first came out. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And I remember watching it on public television, because back then we only had big 3 whopping channels. So, it's all we had. Oh, shut up, Bark. What's all the TV we have? It's not like today where there's 5 billion TV channels blasted all around the world. No, we got another guest coming on in about 10 minutes. But
so I have a question, Elise. So you've got 2 books, or you got Forecast which says the blurbs on the cover says, "Remind me of Dan Brown's books, filled with excitement and adventure, like a good film. I was sorry when the book ended." And then you got Guardian of the Gold Breathers, which doesn't have a blurb on the cover there. So I would like to invite you on as a guest to the podcast now that you've got some books out since you won 5 years ago. What would be a good book for me to read? And if so, if you send it to me, I'll read it and we'll get scheduled to do an interview.
Fun. Yeah. I'd read this one.
Well, I'm happy for you.
That book's
you can send it to me, I can read it too.
You too.
If I were John, I would read this one to make the phrasing clearer.
Oh man!
Can you send me a link to it?
Sure, I can.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, and then we'll do that. Like, since I've been wanting to do an interview with you for some time, but I've been so anticipating another event, which I will have to hold on longer. So I'll take this one here, and this will be my interim.
Consolation prize. Yeah. Traditional publishing takes forever, man. And I would love, my agent is very, very excited about Stand in the Stillness, which is basically my sequel to Untrained Luck. She's very excited. We'll just have to see how it's received. There's a lot of just need to be in the right place at the right time when it comes to that kind of connection.
When you get word on it, send to me as an ARC so we can do the interview to go out when the book releases. I'm doing that with Nettie. Nettie Corfor's got her book coming out next spring, so she's sending it to me early so I can interview her and have it air as the book releases.
John, you are like at the top of my list of screaming future fans for this book. So you will probably get an email from me when I sign the contract.
Okay, good.
Before the ARC is available.
Excellent. Good. Pass.
No, what's that, Mark? No, that's too long of a question. We got a guest come on in about 7 or 8 minutes. But what she just told you, just go on and look her up online.
Oh, people, if they want to know where to find me, my name, EliseStephens.com. All my books are linked there. The only one I don't have there yet is Time Travelers, just because I haven't had a chance to update my website. But that one you can see the information right there and how to spell it. But Elise Stephens, that's EliseStephens.com. That's me, and it has links to all of my stuff there.
Yeah, y'all should be used to these weird Canucks anyway. We got so many of them on the network. My station manager's from Canada, from Niagara Falls, so I like to give her trouble. What's that? No, I keep telling you, Canadians are just Americans. So are Mexicans, for that matter. Matter of fact, everybody who lives in the American continents from top to bottom are just Americans. Get over yourself. I did not make the rule. I didn't name all the continents American. That was not me, okay? This is the United States of America, not America, but the United States of America. It's Canada of America. It's Mexico of America. Yes, they just don't always include it in their things.
Then you go further south, and you've got Central America. A little bit further south, you got South America.
They agreed on this stuff long before I was born and giving y'all stuff about it. What is that, Bruce? Yes, she seems like a very, very well-educated, very nice woman. Yes.
Oh, that's a nice comment.
Yes. He said he can't wait. He can't wait to read your stuff. Get out there and buy some, people. Don't be cheap, people. You know my rule. Don't be cheap. This John's show and this show were put in a specific spot now, so we can actually start helping authors to move books, because other shows on our network give away books, but the problem is this network's giving away so many books. We had to change things so we could start selling books, because everybody just expects us to just, give them away. And at Christmas, we'll give away, a ton of books. Probably, I think last year we gave like 2,600 away altogether. And I know we gave away 200 from Writers of the Future and 200 from Barnes and Noble. So we give away a lot of books. We just tell people, you got a couple books, send them to us. We'll give them away. And we'll do specials, or sometimes we'll have a guest come on some books we might be giving away and stuff like that, just so they can be there when we're giving them away. What is that, Michael? What? Oh, well, yeah. She said it's Palestinian art. Oh, you want to know if they're all writing about time travel? Okay, I'm sorry. So he was asking about. At first he said something about the pound, but then he said, "Are they all writing time travel stories in the book?"
No, No, the stories are not all dealing specifically with time travel. It's a play on words, because it sounds like time traveler, right? As in TIME, but it's THYME. So no, they are not all time travel stories. My story is not a time travel story. At least one of them, I believe, is.
That's why you got to pay attention to titles. I always tell y'all, watch your covers, because we talk about this when the illustrators are on, that good covers can sell a book for anybody. But the problem is sometimes they're really good covers and not so good of books. You get halfway through, you're like, really, man, that cover was really good. Why is this book so bad?
But you've already bought the book, so the cover did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Exactly what it's supposed to do. It's one of the things we talk about illustrators. What is that, Christy? Why were you? How were you there at 35? You never won any stories. You never been. Do you work for Writers of the Future? I know John and his crew, so I know you never been there. So what are you talking about? So you at the gala? Well, maybe you were there as invited to somebody. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't say if you're lying or telling the truth. Send me your whole name and I'll find out, though. Oh, that's what I thought. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there. So where are we now, John? We're already wrapped up for 41 now, right? So,
well, 41 finishes in the end of this month.
Okay.
So end of September is the end of the fourth quarter. So people still have like a couple of weeks to get in their submissions to make it in volume 41.
You best get writing and drawing. You got 2 weeks. And no, they do not take AI, and they do know the difference.
Yes.
And Echo will smack you in the head if you send her something AI. I'm just telling you ahead of time. She will just whack you if she sees you. She actually hosts a show in between this one and John's show, Writers of the Future. It's called The Professional. She comes on and shows y'all how to actually be real illustrators.
Very cool.
Yes, really good at what she does. You mean who was it? Sean Patrick Hazlitt is one of the authors on the net. One of the winning authors is on the network. Yes.
And you've also got the other one too. The on the UFO, the other Writers of the Future winner.
Oh, my brain went blank as soon as you said that. Just whoosh, right out of my head.
Yeah, he's got the record of most number of entries before winning. He entered like
Preston.
Preston Dennett. Yeah,
he hosts on our Monday. He's on our late last show on Monday nights is what he hosts. Him and his I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but they host together.
Yeah, he's married now.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of books. And you're thinking about Nick Redfern, who writes. Nick Redfern writes professionally, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's how he writes. I think he's got 160 books now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, he picks a subject and just writes. He'll get his computer out and do research, and he'll be researching and writing as he. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he just sits there from 9 to 5 and write. I would go crazy. Only thing I can write is when it hits me in the head, and then I can go sit down and write something. I just couldn't sit there 9 to 5. So anybody who can, thumbs up to y'all. I've only talked to maybe 10 writers that write like that. All the rest of them write whenever they feel like it, or when they're doing stuff. Or some people are writing while they're riding in the car. We've got their pad out or their phone out. It's just I hear all kind of stories. So I'm just telling y'all. I hear a lot of different ways things get written. I mean, do you have any medium you just like to write on? Do you like to use your computer, paper?
I love pen and paper. There's a very visceral, artistic connection to the pen and the paper. I got fed up with trying to transfer written word to my computer where it obviously needs to end up for editing and submission purposes. So I started, and I use quite a bit now, handwriting to text software where I can handwrite it and it will convert it to text that I can then clean up and edit and get into a Word document. So that's been it's wonderful how technology just keeps getting better and better. I've also played with dictation as well, but I love handwriting. So this has been a really good medium for me to get it in.
There are a lot of things I still use paper and pen for. As a matter of fact, the numbers for the station are all sitting on paper and pen. It's just a weird thing. It is a tactile sensation. It's like people who like to read ebooks versus people who want the book in their hand. Some people don't want an ebook. I mean, we give away ebooks sometimes. People say, I don't want an ebook. If it's not a real book, I don't want it. I'm like, well, that's up to you. Personally, I like audiobooks because I'm busy a lot. And so it's easier for me, like when I'm doing archives or doing stuff, or like when I'm at work on my other career, I'll put it on my phone, plug in an earbud, and go on about what I was doing and listen to a story while I'm at work. Because I don't really get the time to sit down and actually read anymore. It's a rare thing that I can sit and go through a book, because I'll get started on a book and then life will get busy and then the book will sit, somewhere collecting dust for 6 months. So John always sends me audio stuff. I just throw it in on my phone. And I got an hour and a half drive back and forth every day to work. So I just do it like that and listen as I go. Oh, wait, we lost Jennifer. There she is. She's back. Let's get ready to drag her on. Let's just pop her in here with us. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, doing good.
You're doing good. Look good. There you go. Yeah.
So Elise was a writer winner in volume 35, and Jennifer was an illustrator winner in volume 39. Elise is in Tacoma?
Seattle.
And Jennifer is, I want to say Salt Lake City, but it's not. It's near.
Oh, we lost her
again.
Oh, she'd be back. You just disconnected. She's bouncing around. But plug yourself real quick. Let everybody know where you're at, where they can find you, at least, how to get hold to you, email, stuff like that. No, she ain't giving you your phone. No, who sent that on my text?
I'm not sharing my phone number. However,
I'm not sharing mine either. Look, y'all smoking something today.
If you want to find out more about me and my books, you can find me at www.elisestephens.com. There's links to my blog. You can sign up for my newsletter. I'm giving away a novella to all newsletter subscribers. Then you can also stay in touch. I have links to my books. You can also go ahead and contact me if you want to. I have a contact form, and I actually answer my contact forms myself. You're not getting an assistant right now. So if you have questions or something you were wondering about, I would love to chat with you. But please feel free to check me out there. And yes, I'm an author writing in Seattle. That's the part of the world I come from.
Seattle's a cool place to be. What are you talking about? Phil saved that for Wednesday. I mean, for Friday. Yes, for not going there. I know all about what went on in Seattle. Yes, I got a lot of friends up there, but that's Friday, so I just gave that for Friday. People, do you not see the title of this show, The Author's Quill? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't say anything about half the topics I've had sent to me today. You know what it is? We're just in a political year, and people can't help themselves. It's like a disease or something. They just can't. And everybody's so polarized right now. It's kind of funny, really. I shouldn't say that, but it is kind of funny. At least to me, it is. We'll wait for Jennifer to get back. I think it says device not connected. So we'll see what's going on with that. Seattle. So, man, you're like us. You must love the rain up there, huh?
Love the rain or have to deal with the rain.
I was going to say, do y'all still get as much as y'all used to?
You see a lot of rain up there.
Oh, we get tons of rain. In fact, it was pouring just a few minutes ago. I was looking out the window at it. We were getting. I mean, we have a beautiful green environment because of the rain.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we had some rain just the other month here in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Just once.
Just once. Yeah, that's about right. Once a year. For
no, we got fires. We got fires everywhere around here. We're burning down. We're getting our just rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of fires.
At least on this side of the mountains, we get some over in eastern Washington where it's drier.
No, yeah. Denise, actually, Seattle's climate is a lot like New Orleans. It don't get as near as hot and muggy there, but we share a lot of their temperatures a lot. Well, all my friends who live west in Seattle, closer to Puget Sound and to the ocean, have a much milder 40, 50 degrees, not that much snow. But you get inland a little ways, it snows like a biatch up there. Seattle, Tacoma gets snow, people. I've been here, it's like, but they're like us, they get a lot of rain, they get a lot of mugginess. It's a really beautiful place. Y'all should go up there and hang out, and they're not that far from Vancouver, BC.
Correct.
Yeah, well, they got that little warm breeze that runs up the coast. There's a whole section up there in Alaska that doesn't get any snow because of the warm air that rides up along the side of the coast. Yeah, but again, just go inland 10 miles and it's snowing like you know what. It's like Jesus decided to cover everybody in snow or something. Yeah, no, it can get seriously snowy. It's beautiful country up there. The whole West Coast is beautiful country. Don't worry about the politics. Enjoy the countryside.
That's
Yeah,
right.
People, I'm gonna say this just out of kindness in my heart. You can enjoy the country or the world for that matter and not have to be worried about politics while you're doing it. You can go home and watch TV later that night and, have a fight with your wife or your husband about who's right and who's wrong. No, I don't know. But really, people, y'all should really go out and enjoy it. I got a friend of mine who just moved out of, he was living in Eureka, California. And I always crack up when he says Eureka because they had that TV show named after. He moved to Seattle, by the way. He was going to go to Portland, and for some reason he changed his mind. He said Portland just didn't feel. He was trying to explain it. He said because he's from New Orleans originally. He said Seattle felt more like home than Portland did. I was like, oh well, wherever you want to live, I'm not going to hate on you. I said I live in the Gulf Coast. I can't say nothing. I don't live in the city anymore. I live out in the. A matter of fact, I'd show you what we had Francine come through the other night. There was water up to here in my yard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just part of living.
Yeah, I called him because I saw that Category 2 hurricane landed in just south of New Orleans. I thought, oh, Joe, is he still alive? So I called him and it rang and rang and rang. And then he called me back saying,
we were running nonstop. My son, who was in the city, he said he got 3 foot in front of his house. And that's only because the pumps weren't working. It just flooded them out. Jennifer, you back? We got you now. Let me drag her up here with us. Make sure she's alive and kicking. Oh, there you are. Okay. I thought you disappeared. You can't be disappearing and stuff. Jennifer, how are you tonight? Jennifer, you ever met Elise?
Touched the camera on my computer and it just went dead. So
anyway, so before she goes, this is Jennifer, Elise, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
So Jennifer is going to be at our booth at Salt Lake City FanX or FanX Salt Lake in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Are you doing any other shows, Elise?
I just found out I will be officially on programming at World Fantasy Con in Niagara Falls this October. So I got that email just before this show, so I'm very excited. So
Congratulations on that.
I'll be there. I'll be doing some panels. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I will be at Superstars Writing Seminar. I'm actually doing a little presentation there as well. And then those are my two official ones right now. There's one more that's pending that I'm not sure if I'll be attending or not. Oh, and Worldcon in Seattle 2025. I will be there and I will be staff. So that will be a fun to work. It's really fun to be backstage. I love being staff. I love helping out.
You
So
get to see all the good stuff.
I'm excited about that as well.
Well, that's great. So I'll look forward to seeing you then in Colorado Springs.
Yes.
See, that's why I like being press. You get to go everywhere. They can't tell the press no, because you start telling press no, they start writing bad stuff about it. So you got to be nice to them. No, Philip, I'm serious. Oh no, man, that's part of being press. If people want you there, you got to get in there and look around. But it's great talking to you today, Elise. We're going to get Jennifer in here in just a second.
All right.
Anytime, if you want to come on anytime, or you got something new coming out, let John or Carmen know. You have my email now, but you can let any of us know anytime, or if you want to send a book or something, just let us know. We'll put it up there. It was great talking to you. I had a lot of fun. And again, I really appreciate some of the stuff you're doing. It's rare. Look, it's rare. You'd be surprised. Like I said earlier, it's more about how much can I make than it is about can I help anything. People were trying to change the world. Whoever wrote me that stupid stuff. Yes. We want to change the world. I want to live on a nice, peaceful planet where everybody refers to themselves as Terrans. And we're not getting into one world government. Just maybe at least write a book about it. There you go. There you go.
Oh my.
Yeah,
that might be a good
seeing you again, Elise.
All right, great. See you
and talk to you. Reading your book.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. You're great.
Bye.
Bye.
Jennifer, how you doing tonight?
doing good.
You having fun yet, or you're just hanging out? No, I'm just teasing. Oh, she's an illustrator. I don't know if we can be talking to these illustrators. They're trouble, man. Oh Lord.
So this is the one that she, the illustration that she did was for this story called Non-Zero. So this is the one where the astronaut was basically marooned in space and didn't know what she would do, because she was however many light years away because the ship left they didn't go back and check to see if she's alive or not. And so she's there, and she's about ready to run out of air, and she's having this conversation with the AI who runs her spacesuit, and it's just it was written by who's the author? It was Non-Zero by Tom Vandermolen. We were just with him last week in Atlanta, and at DragonCon, and it was a man overboard scenario. So he had the idea when he was on the ship. He was in the Navy, and a huge, I think it was aircraft carrier, and just in the back looking at it and just seeing totally dark out. If some man overboard, you'd never find him. It would just be impossible to find somebody if they went overboard at night, in the ocean. And so he took that into space. And so Jennifer's depiction that was very dramatic. You just see, that extreme close up of the astronaut inside the helmet there, and the water coming off the eyes and whatnot. That was, how did you work out getting that illustration? Was that, how much that was art directed? How much was it you're just like, wow, this is how I want to do it?
I think I had come up with like 3 or 4 ideas, and all the other ones were for the most part like showing more of the body of the astronaut, and it was the one with the eye. They thought that that one seems really interesting. It seems really striking. Let's have you go with that one, which actually in a way almost kind of seemed like the most challenging of all of them. Because then I had to figure out how to take a space scene and refract it in the exact right amounts within each of these tiers in a way that looked believable, and I had to learn how to do that, and that was very unique and interesting.
No, you did great with it. It was like,
yeah, it's a great picture. I mean, it really is.
Thanks.
It caught my eye when we were there, so. I always, so when you went to the reveal, so we know about the reveal, and so when your author was looking for it, what kind of emotions was going on here? Because I've seen several of these now, 5 of them, and it could be an emotional experience to say the least. There seems to be a lot of crying going on. It's good crying before anybody asks.
Well, she's basically freaking out because she's just floating out in the middle of space, so she's pretty upset.
So what was it like? When Tom recognized the art, did he see it right away?
Oh yeah, pretty much. He saw it right. Like, he's like, that one's it. He's like, yeah, and he really liked it. And it was actually kind of funny because when we met each other at the workshops, and he said that they had looked up who I was when they first, found out who their illustrator was for their book, and then he said he would like looking up my work and see the different things that I did, and he said he was excited to see what I came up with.
That's good. Yeah, I originally met Jennifer. It was after she won. She was at FanX Salt Lake, and she had a booth. She's an exhibitor there with her husband, and they do their art in a booth that they have there. So I went and met her there. But no, it was great being able to see her and then see the art as it was being created and evolved. And then were you at her booth last year? You did a signing at her booth, or you're in the panel, or you were something.
I visited last year, so I haven't officially been at a booth, but I will be this year.
But you did come to LTUE, Life Universe, and everything. You drove down for that to be on that panel with Brian Hales and myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So how you like living in Utah? On a side, completely different question. Well, I like Utah, so I'm just asking because I know it's a different state. I've been to 44 states.
I
42
don't
states.
know that I could ever live somewhere that didn't have mountains. I would get lost. And I would also be like, where are they? There's nothing in the sky. There's nothing, on the horizon. It needs to have mountains.
Yeah, so most of my friends who live in areas with mountains, see, for me, it's a little bit different. I need water. So in my house, if you look out my back door, the bayou's 20 feet from my door, and the Gulf of Mexico is 100 yards from there. I was just telling Elise a few minutes ago because we had a storm coming through. The water is about this deep down here. It's kind of crazy. So I love the mountains, but I love Utah. Actually, I fell in love with Salt Lake City, but I fell in love with a little town somewhere further south, not that far from Area 51. I was down there giving a lecture, something Springs or something. Beautiful place. They do outdoor concerts, and it was a great place. It was beautiful. And then I stumbled across this place called Moab by accident.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is a Moab? I mean, come on. I mean, what the hell is this place? I mean, we were in Colorado, and then all of a sudden we were in Utah. I'm like, well, what is a Moab? And we got to hanging out. The place is beautiful. I mean, there's just, I didn't even realize they have a dark sky park there, which is really nice. Your state actually has 7 of the 10 dark sky parks in the United States. Y'all got more than Hawaii does. That's amazing to me.
Do you know what that is, Jennifer?
I'm guessing it's to do with paranormal activity.
No. Dark sky parks are where you can see the Milky Way coming over your head and all the stars that go with it. So you have to have a really dark area. And the very first time,
no lights that reflect up that will also burn out the sky.
So the first one I seen out there, I was coming back. Actually, we were down at Area 51 and we were coming back. And I had a local friend who's from Utah, and he was taking us around. He just stops. We're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, literally, where we were at, the speed limit was 85, and we were at least 80 miles in any direction from anything. Every now and then you'd see a little airplane way off in the distance going to Vegas, but that was it. You could hear a coyote yipping out in the distance. It was beautiful. The skies were gorgeous. Nice. We must have counted 200 shooting stars in 25 minutes. The Milky Way looked like you could just reach up and run your fingers through it. It was so deep and so intense. And you don't see that down here where I live. I mean, there's a lot of sky down here, but there's just a lot of light pollution. The only time I seen anything like that was right after Hurricane Katrina. There was no lights in the city of New Orleans for 3 weeks. And I remember sitting down on a porch when I still smoked cigarettes. And I was outside smoking a cigarette, and I looked up and I was like, what the? Didn't even know that sky existed over my head. I was shocked. I
probably considered driving out to one of those places to get
it's beautiful.
The eye for that painting that I did, because I had tried to do something at home with like a picture of stars and then like taking a picture of my own eye, and it wouldn't work properly.
It wouldn't work for you.
Like if I went out to that place where it's dark, maybe I could actually get a picture of stars reflected into somebody's eye. I don't know. No one's ever
probably
done
could.
Before,
actually, probably could. If you went to one of the real dark sky parks, you probably could, because it's so intense. I know for Utah, like when there's meteor showers coming up, a lot of times you may have to book 2 years in advance to go to one of the parks. The one in Texas, you got to book 4 years in advance. It's there's so many people want to see it up close and personal. If you want to stay there now, if you want to just drive up and watch, it's a little bit different. And you're not allowed to use white light. You always got to have that red light so there's no reflection to interfere with everybody's views. You'd be surprised how many people show up. You really would be. It's insane out there that you can't have your car lights on. It's a great place, and people be out there with their telescopes now, but the skies are just stunning. It's a rare thing to see in this country anymore, because most places now are so much light pollution or so close to a big city that they just can't get that. Because even here, I'm 60 miles from New Orleans and 4 hours from Atlanta, but there's still a lot of light pollution. It's just a lot of. Of course, we got Casino Row down here too, so that doesn't help. But yeah, you ever get bored, get out one night, get in your car, go for a ride, because I mean, you've got some great parks in Utah. I mean, some really good ones. Moab is more though. Moab would have been a good place for me 20 years ago, but it's too much work over. There's too much exercise going on for me. So wait, let's go back a little way. So what made you get into illustration? Were you like drawing all over your parents' house and stuff on the doors and floors and stuff? Walls.
Drawing ever since I was little. So it was always the goal to be an artist.
Well, I know some of you kids who draw were bad, like drawing on walls and things. And a friend of mine's son won an award, an artist award, not that long ago. And I remember when he was a kid, his mom called me. He said, "How do you get crayon over the wall?" I said, "You have to use this chemical, and then you got to paint it." She's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, don't come off. She's like, well, it's like, this kid had done a whole entire mural. He's 3.5 from one end of the wall to the other end of the wall. I thought she was going to kill him. There was a lot of, hand prints and stuff. Oh, Lord. He makes a living at it now. He works for some gaming company as an illustrator now. And that's what he does for it. He said it wasn't what he really wanted, but he couldn't turn down the money. It's $150,000 a year, so he said, I can't. And in the deep south, 150 is good now. Out west, not so much, but down here it's a little bit, probably pretty good in Utah too, but California, not so much. Washington, not so much. A little bit higher wage out there. So you're just drawing away, and then one day you said, okay, I'm going to enter Writers of the Future. So, did you see an advertisement somewhere, or you just heard from somebody and you decided
I think that I had possibly heard about it in college and then didn't submit anything. And then many years later, I went to LTUE, and there was a panel there, for Illustrators of the Future, and Brian C. Hills was there, and Joni was there, and that's where I had, really considered entering. Of course, I didn't end up actually entering then. I waited till later, and until I was like, finally, okay, yeah, fine, I should actually submit my work. And so then I submitted like twice that year, and then I won.
Damn. See, illustrators win a little faster, but so you got to meet Echo, huh? Did you get to meet Echo?
Oh yeah.
How'd you like Echo? She can't hear you, so you can be honest. No, I'm just kidding. Her and I are good friends, actually. But she's intense sometimes, man. I sat through a couple of her classes the first year I was with them, and she can be intense sometimes. She's she wants what she wants out of y'all. That's for sure. That's the only way I can say it. And it's a blast to listen to her, and it's a blast to watch y'all do, like when they had the models and stuff. It's always fun to watch. Doing
the live drawings.
Yeah, the live drawings, and it's all fun to watch. What was your favorite part about? Now you can't say the gala, that's cheating. But what was your favorite part about being at Writers of the Future, or Writers and Illustrators of the Future? I'm sorry.
It's hard to pick a favorite part. Every part of it had its good moments. The workshops, and like you say, being at the gala, and the award ceremony, and it was all really, really cool in every part, and meeting everyone, and
You kept some friends from there, hanging out with some regulars, or some people do, some people don't. It's always a little weird to me because I never know who it's going to be, but some people hang out in groups, and then some just like to associate from time to time. So I never know what to expect from a winner when they tell me. So.
Well, there is a Discord chat that some of us stick together on, and then there's other social media platforms. But then there's also sometimes we'll see each other at different conventions. There was a workshop that I went to in Milwaukee, and I met a couple of people there. Steve was there, and it was cool to see him, and I think that I saw him at another event too.
Well, Bruce Benizzi goes to a lot of the shows, as does Nick Gisba. They travel a lot doing the shows, and that's how they make their living. They go from show to show to show, and that's how they sell it. They build up a lot of clientele, and they do their repeat business. But I say that you do well with that. So where's your direction now going now that you've won the contest? You got your booth that you do there, at least at FanX. How's your career expanding right now?
It's a little confusing. So before I had submitted to Illustrators of the Future, I'd kind of sort of given up on that. And I had pursued other things. I'd actually started a business, and then I merged that business with another business, and making and selling fantasy products. And that's what that booth was that we have at FanX and lots of other places, is for that company called We Geek Together. And I started doing the manufacturing for that company and doing the graphic design. And now we're trying to see if we can get enough people to do the manufacturing part, so I'm not doing so many jobs. But I'm also trying to do some illustration for work. So I had started an illustration that would be used for the cover of like the DM manual for the big Dungeons and Dragons game that they started doing. And they actually a couple years ago they used that game to get a Guinness World Record for the biggest game of D&D there's ever been. So that's pretty exciting. That's
good. So you're not pursuing illustration, or you are pursuing illustration?
I'm trying to see where I can insert doing illustration, but I did go and do the workshop in Milwaukee. It was a fantasy arts workshop, and they do that once a year. And I guess I kind of wanted to do it to sort of almost relive the experience of being at Writers and Illustrators of the Future. It definitely was not the same experience. It's completely different. And it was still valuable, but it was not on the same scale. It was,
Yeah.
And then I have also signed up to have an artist booth at Dragonsteel Nexus, which is Brandon Sanderson's personal convention in Utah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Now, you met Joe before. You interviewed with him when you were there in Hollywood?
I don't think we did an interview there, but I have done an interview before. I think it was back in March.
Yeah, we've done an interview, but one of the years we didn't get as many. We got more on I think more online than we got when we were there. It varies from year to year. Last year was just ungodly amount of interviews. I think I got more. The only time I got more interviews than last year would have been the first year I went there, and that's because they were running dual venues that year, and I came away with a ton of interviews. Last year we got everybody plus at least everybody once, and then half of them at least one more time, and then just 7 or 8 of the judges. So it was a big group. It was a big group of interviews. But we're going to be doing that from now on. We're going to do them ahead of time. Makes it easier because it allows me to pick and choose, and it also allows us to see who the winners are going to be and come back with the winners and let them, talk about how it was to be a winner and stuff like that. But, when you said that about this contest, I've been to a lot of these contests. That's why I gave John such a hard time when I met him. And a lot of them just really and truly, and I hate to say it this way, a lot of them are pale in comparisons to Writers of the Future. Not all of them, but most of them I've been to they're just not the same thing. I was in one in New York just before I had met John, and they had flown us up there and put us up at the hotel, and it just all of a sudden I found out they wanted them to pay for this and pay for that and pay for trophies and all kind of stuff. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now this doesn't sound like winning a contest. It sounds like more let's make some money out of some people that we brought up here. It just wasn't the same thing. Even though, there was a lot of good people there that knew what they were doing. It just seemed like it was more about how much money can we make off the winners and how much we're going to give them. So it's just one of them things. So I get so nitpicky about stuff. It's so you got to do something big. Well, wait, what's your favorite venue? You like oil, you like paper, you like computer. What's your favorite place to write or draw or paint? You got a favorite? Not everybody has a favorite.
I have a tendency to dabble in lots of things, but
that's actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah. But I do oil painting, I do watercolor, and then of course drawing. And then I do digital work. But then I also go, off the wall and do crazy things like working with lasers and 3D printers. And that's not really art, but then I'm getting to some 3D modeling to go along with that. And then also just like clay sculpture. And then I do, lots of different mediums. And at some point I'm planning on combining all of the sorts of different things. And I want to start making like puppets and
yeah, girl, you're ambitious.
I could sell. Yeah.
Okay, if it makes you profit and you enjoy doing it, it's a big plus. I personally am a big fan of oil. See, down here, if you want to sell something where I live on the coast, watercolors sell like you wouldn't freaking believe. Look, you can do this, and somebody's gonna pay $150 for it. I'm not kidding. I've seen things where it looked like some kid just splashed his hands and made some dots and watch him go for $200. I'm like, get out of here, man. You'd have to give me that thing. I wouldn't pay for that thing. But then I see down, like when we're in the French Quarter, they've got a lot of artists in the French Quarter that sit around St. Louis Cathedral, and they will do portraits, $500 to $1,000 a portrait. And some of them will do it cheaper, but they'll do that portrait anywhere from an hour to 4 hours while you sit there for it. I've seen some beautiful work down there. I mean, some beautiful, and they'll have pictures all lined up and down the fences at the cathedral and the square. And they make a lot for just people. They make a lot of freaking money. I was talking to a couple of them, man. Some of them are really banking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a week. Easy. What got me though is the card readers that read after midnight to 4 a.m. They're making $2,000-3,000 a week reading tarot cards. I'm like, maybe I'm in a line right at work. These people ain't even hardly working and they're making money. Art's a little different. I have no talent. I have stick man talent's what I got. You want to see me draw a person? It's gonna be an ugly stick man at that too. It's not just gonna be a stick man. It's gonna be an ugly stick man. What's that, Carly?
Well, it depends on like what area of art. So and there's sort of like this big border in between. Fine art and illustration, because they have completely different applications for the most part. Fine art is usually going to be somebody who will go and purchase it and put it up on their wall, whereas illustrations for publication, usually, and that's going to have like a totally different market depending on.
Well, I was reading the other day that several gaming companies, there's one in Louisiana, actually two in Louisiana, just looking for help, but there's several game companies around the world that are looking for illustrators. Well, they're looking for programmers, illustrators, and authors. Story writers is what they're really. I don't want to say authors because it's not really fair. It's more like a storyboard write than it is a real author. But still, that they're looking for, and they want to include AI in it. So none of them want to use AI to make a story, anything. But what they want to do is they want the illustrators and the authors to take what the stories that they came up with, and then do all the work that goes with it, and then let the AI mass produce it. They don't want the AI thinking it up though, because you can't own it, so they can't go that way. But they can have you come up with beautiful artwork and then hand it over to AI and tell the AI, okay, we want you to finish it like this. And they're legal. They can legally do that and actually do copyright on that. Unfortunately, AI is just not copyrightable right now, and which is a good thing actually. Not this picture, but the one from my UFO on the cover, that's AI, all AI. And you know how much it cost me? $0. It's a beautiful picture. That's why I don't see, that's the main reason. I called John the first time I ever heard about AI. I was like, because that's not fair to anybody. You tell something that draws you a picture 10 minutes later and you don't even have to pay for it. Something about that just does not seem right. It just doesn't. What's that, Frankie? AI is a great thing. It's just not good for artists and illustrators. It's and authors. It's not a good thing for them.
And the company that I work for, we actually do use some AI, but we use it more for like advertisement purposes. Yeah. So if you need something quick and fast, and they come to me to be like, "Oh, we need this," I'll be like, I don't have time to do that. You just need something real quick. You go ahead and you just pop it in because you just need something for this real quick little short thing that you're only going to be using for a short period of time. But then when it comes to things like if we're making a book with pictures and we're selling that book, or it's something that needs a front cover and we're going to sell it, be like, no, do not AI that. You need
because somebody can use your cover.
Well, they had actually be making a profit off that.
Well, they just had a big case in New York. Guy used AI to do 2 comic books. Comic books sold pretty well. And then somebody else just started selling a comic book, and a guy sued him for copyright, wanted his money, and the judge is like, no, you can't sue him. It's AI. You don't own it. Nobody owns it. So you go through all that work to develop it, and then somebody else can use it. And it's just that's a bitch is what that is. Yeah. So I mean, that's a good thing. It keeps AI from in its place, I guess is a better way of saying it. But and I think it's a great tool. I use it for advertisement. I use it for running promos. I still like to. I usually commission most of our banners and stuff like that come from somebody. But of course, all our hosts are responsible for their own banners and stuff like that. They just have to meet the station's requirements. But I just bought 15 banners not that long ago. And from a very good artist. She's I was actually getting it from one of the writers of Futures artists, but she got busy, and I was like, well, so I can't wait that long. I gotta get it done pretty fast. It's because we're in the middle of changing stuff around. So, but we're always looking for that. And we tell people all the time, submit stuff. If we like it, we'll call you and say, hey, look, because we're a growing network like everybody else. And you never know what's going to catch my eye. Like that banner up there in the corner, that was dedicated by one of the hosts. She did that by hand, though. I was like, really?
That's the Aaron Talk Radio one?
Yeah, she did that one by hand. And that way the station owns it. But it wouldn't matter because, I mean, it clearly has our title on it, our name on the banner. But still, it's nice though to see. I mean, I love good art. I love a good story. I like to watch illustrators and authors work together. It's always fun. It can be chaotic, I know, sometimes. And could be a little screaming and hollering going on there from sometimes, but I'm sure you know what I mean. But still a commission's a commission, and you can go. You ever thought about doing any stuff like bigger stuff like walls or outside? Because I noticed I was talking with some of the illustrators last year, and I noticed a few of them had their sights on doing like walls and buildings and on the outside of buildings and stuff like. I guess we'd call them murals, is what you really would call them. But still, I know who was it? What was the guy? Oh man, I can't think. It's Mike. No, that wasn't his name. He was doing one. He actually used a laser. So a laser image that he put up there, and then he went out and hand traced it all through the laser image, and then he went back and painted it all in.
Yeah,
what's his name?
Much faster way of getting it started.
Yeah, well, I think he ended up being one of the judges. Damn, I can't. God, I hate getting old. My memory is just like mush. Whatever, Mike, shut up. Sorry, I had to correct somebody on the side over here.
Now, do you prefer doing dragons, Jennifer? Because I see a lot of dragons on your website.
Fantasy is more of my thing, yeah. And I mean, I had actually done a mural before on my sister's wall, and it took me forever. I think my problem would be the scale. Unless I completely planned the whole thing out and I exactly knew how much details I was going to put in each part, then it might be okay. Otherwise, I would go overboard and I'd put way too much detail everywhere, and the mural would take me millions of years. Mm-hmm. But as for like if I'm just working on my own stuff, yeah, I'll usually do something that is fantasy related because that's what I enjoy. But because it also currently connects with the groups and the community that I am a part of is all very much fantasy based. And a big part of that has to do with the fact that when I started my business, I started it at a place called Evermore Park. And that was, it was like a big fantasy village kind of a thing. And at the moment, it is under completely new management. It's going to turn into something different. We're not entirely sure which way it's going. But while it was there, it was really cool. And it had a lot of that fantasy community coming in, and that's actually where I had gotten back into being introduced into illustration was meeting other artists that were like-minded and also doing fantasy-based things, and then when I was getting connected with them again, that's when I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I should actually start doing this again.
I've seen some great dragon art come out of Writers of the Future, man.
Yeah, Jennifer's got this one which is awesome. It's dragon in a jar. She's got this mason jar.
Oh, I seen that. I remember seeing that.
Isn't that really cool? The little dragon that's reading in there, and it's got the fantasy literature is what instead of mason jar. Just
there it is.
Yeah.
I actually remember seeing that. Let me blow this up on my pictures.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It is really cool. It's that was actually a good idea. See, stuff like that I would never think of. I'd do a stupid dragon. I would never think about putting it in a jar. It wouldn't even come to my brain. But I mean, I've been really blessed. I mean, you do good dragons. Tom Wood's doing dragons. Of course, April Solomon's doing dragons. And of course, there's the infamous Larry Elmore.
Yeah. And you haven't met Cirello yet either. So hopefully we'll be able to get him back out here. He lives in Spain. So if we get him back, he also does dragons amazingly.
Yeah, there's been some great dragon drawings at this. I mean, I was talking with Tom and Echo about this about 2 years ago. I said, maybe we should I actually brought it up with Larry this year. So maybe we should do a contest for some kind of donation for something. And, have a dragon off. Take 3 of the pros and 3 of the that non-pros and let them go at it, see who comes up with the best dragon or who makes the most money for the whatever charity it is. And because they said, well, what we're going to do with the money? So it's going to go to a charity. It's because none of us can have it. It might cause problems.
Yeah.
It's but
now one thing, Jennifer, I was just finishing rereading a and you're muted on your microphone, by the way. I was just rereading the essay by Hubbard on art more about, where he talks about art is the quality of communication. And so I look at illustration, and it's a lot easier to get communication out of that. But like the one that you just showed us there, the one with the dragon in the jar, were there any of the essays that you remember from the workshop that stand out more than others of what Hubbard wrote on the work for the workshop?
I don't know specifically. We kind of went over the book pretty quickly. I had looked over it before or later after that, and I do remember reading some parts that were sort of elaborating on like the purpose of art, and like you said before, and the communication, and kind of what sets artwork apart from other sources of communication, and what makes basically good art, is going to be artwork that really does communicate, really has a story behind it, or has a purpose that it's trying to fulfill. Otherwise,
because he goes in, you got two aspects on art. You've got one is the technical expertise, but the other one is the communication factor. And because sometimes people get so caught up in the technique, the technical expertise, trying to make a perfect piece of art, they lose the communication. And some where the communication is the senior data between the two there, where you need to have enough technical expertise to just sell the communication, but where it gets to you, you have to be perfect it, then you lose it. That's not what you're trying to do with art. You're trying to, it's a means of communication. And because I take various classes and stuff, and one of the things I'm doing a course on art, because I'm using it to up my game on creating my videos on the social podcasts that I do. And it's just interesting because sometimes I get so caught up in trying to make it look really good, I lose the communication. And so it's a definite balance there. I was just curious if anything in that struck you as a point of significance.
Yeah, well, and it was also a topic that that I had heard in college as well, especially after we had an assignment where people spent all of this time trying to come up with an illustration for just one particular word. And there were plenty of people who had put in all this time and this effort into their work, and then they had them go through and pick out the ones that were the most successful at communicating the idea. And when they went over some people's to decide, like, if you had done this, it would have communicated better. And they're like, well, I could have done that, in a few minutes just by drawing this one simple thing. They're like, yeah, that's the idea. You want to push through that level of communication.
That's the senior dating with the art. Yeah.
And
it's with illustration. It's you're doing. You've got a story that you're helping to sell. So how do you do that? Like, what's the snapshot you're going to do that's going to make somebody go, I got to read that story. I want to check that, and it needs to communicate that to the viewer, to the public that's looking at it.
Yeah, it's interesting trying to, like, you kind of know what it is that you need to communicate, at least at a certain point, but it's like, which part of this story is the most, like, the most important, but isn't going to give something entirely away. And it's gotta grab people's attention, but it also has to be relevant. I think there's been plenty of times where I've seen a book cover for a story and I read the book and I look back at the cover, I'm like, this had nothing to do with anything. And it didn't communicate effectively. It's like, how did they even get them hired to do this?
I hate stuff like that. It's like when I buy a book based, we were talking about it earlier, you need a good artist if you have a good book, so you can, even if you got a crappy book, doesn't, as long as you have a good illustrator, that book may sell. And I was telling this to Elise, there's been times where I've looked at a cover, I'm like, wow, this is going to be a great book. Artwork was fabulous. The book was
Yeah.
it just, but I understand the business. I don't get mad at anybody about it, and I should at least go in the back of the book and kind of get an idea of what the story is going to be about. But I will. I'm impulse like that. I'll see a good cover and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that book, and it's 50-50, 50-50. So half the time they were good stories. Half the time you're like, well, I'll give them to somebody. I'll give them away on air or something. I'll give them one of the kids and say, hey, why don't you read this book? Tell me what it's about. Oh man. So 3D. I wanted to go back and talk to you a little bit about 3D sculpturing for a minute, because I know a lot of illustrators dabble in clay, building clay art or busk or things like that. So when you get into digital art, I mean, these days we have these printers that you can just come up with your own artwork and give it to the printer, and it'll just make you a head or make you a car or make you a design or something. It's very interesting. I noticed a guy the other day was using them to make symbols to put on his shoes. Don't ask. I don't even know why I stopped to watch it, to be honest with it. But come to find out, after I watched it, he was selling the little sets for $25 a set. He was back ordered for like 6 weeks. I mean, they were little. I was going to tell you, they look like plastic junk to me, but apparently other people did not think so. So when you get into any kind of digital artwork, right there, where you have printers that can do it for you, all these fancy new digital printers we have that can print and what do you know, Carl? They don't just print in plastic anymore. There's lots of materials these things will print in these days. So I mean, for someone who actually has talent, you can look at a lot of different ways to put these to use. I imagine you could come up with a lot more ideas than I could for use, and I can think of a few. But I know I've seen a guy using that it's some kind of colored reflective metal, and he was making little characters out of it, really detailed little characters out of it. He was selling them online for $15 a piece. I mean,
yeah,
maybe
there's a lot of different applications actually. Even if I just say that, like I'm doing 3D design for illustration, like you could do an illustrated something like texture that you wrap around a three-dimensional object, and then you take pictures of that and you either digitally insert that into something you're making on the computer, or you take pictures of it so that you have a very specific reference for something that you're doing, or you have a 3D model that you want to be able to see the lighting in just the right place with just the right color, and you need that specific reference for your illustration, or you want to like 3D print something out that you have from the computer so that you can go out somewhere and take a picture of that thing with all of the right lighting. And there's a whole bunch of different applications.
It's as it gets more advanced, it's a really interesting way to do things. It can definitely be something that can make you money. What do you mean, Carl? Well, it depends what materials you use. That plastic stuff don't cost anything, but there's a lot of different materials you can use for these printers. Well, I've seen people print guns out of them. Yes, guns that you can't see on a plane either. Ain't that some shit? Well, no, that's not how it works, Mark. So they print out the gun, and the trigger casing is actually metal because it has to be because of the pin. But you can just put that in your pocket and then slide it in later on.
You could print costume pieces too. So
yeah.
If you're like, I need these costume pieces to put on this figure so that I have the right reference, you could do that.
It's funny you say that, because a friend of mine, Raymond, he was doing, I don't know what he called world art is what he was doing. So he printed out a bunch of stuff. Him and his son printed out a bunch of stuff on their 3D printer, and he laid it out, and he took pictures of it, and he sat there with his pictures, transferred them onto the computer, and then he made the piece he was trying to make. Because he said, I couldn't reference it in my head. It just wasn't coming out. No matter what I did, it just didn't look right. He said, once I could actually see it and hold it, he said, I had a much better idea of how this was going to work out. It came out to be a nice piece. He doesn't, I wouldn't call him a professional. He does make money at it. He probably generates about $30,000, $35,000 a year doing it. But he actually has another job that makes far more money than that. It's just something he got into. He was like, my daughter had won some little, what was it called? The tiny contest or something. And he thought after that, oh, I can do anything. And see, my daughter she went to do professional illustration for companies, and then she was such a good leaser for this company, and they paid her so much money. She said, well, why would I change jobs? It's kind of sad because she was a really good artist, but she just, that's what happens a lot of times. The job she went into was easy. She was well praised. She's friends with the owners, and they pay her big money, and there's no stress involved. So she said, art always stressed me. I'm like, why? She actually won several contests, and she won a couple of school contests as well, but she just, for some reason, all the kids on my wife's side are talented in art, including my wife. Not me. Like I said, I can't draw stickman. Neither can my son, by the way. He can't draw it stickman too. But for some reason, all her kids are really talented artists, and none of them went into art. None of them. They all went into different careers, which was kind of sad because they all had a good amount of talent. Y'all hear that, ladies and gentlemen? If you got the talent, use it. You got to be patient to make money. That's all I can tell y'all. Sometimes you might hit it lucky right off the bat. I mean, you never know. Jennifer might one day make a little piece, put it on Kickstarter, and become a millionaire. You just never know what's going to happen in this world today. With the viral world, you don't know. Anything can send you over the top.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. What's that, Frank? WritersOfTheFuture.com. Yes. GalaxyPress.com and Writers of the Future. GalaxyPress.com is where you go buy something.
And you can see Jennifer's art in this book here, volume 40.
Where is that book? It should be sitting. Oh, it's not sitting where it's supposed to be. See, that book is supposed to be like this until the next one comes out. Get over there. Get over there by Bob.
Yeah.
Bob likes that book.
You got the third illustration.
Besides, this book hides this bottle of Crown Royal back there. There we go.
That's for your in-between shows, huh?
Yes. No, that's, that Crown Royal. When I bought that, that was the first time I ever seen you. I was hanging out with Tom and Echo, and we bought that, and I still got that much of it left. Tell you how much I drink. What's that, Frank? What do you mean? Oh, Frank said, you got any place they can find you, anywhere they can see any of your work or anything like that?
I have a website. It's just my name, JenniferMellen.com.
That's Jennifer Mellen, guys. Come on, that's as easy as you can get. Yep. That was like
and
Elise Stephens.
I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram, and I'm on Cara now, although I need to add more art to it. But yeah.
Oh, I heard you say about Encore earlier. You like how you like
Cara.
Encore?
Cara.
Oh no, but I heard y'all say something, or maybe it was Elise. I heard one of y'all talking about Encore, where they do meetings and stuff. Because one of our hosts used it for a while, and I was like, I don't like it. I like StreamYard. I'm spoiled. I like being spoiled. Anything that's easy, it makes my life easy. I'm happy with. John, yeah, that dragon in a jar was good. She should. Now, you see, that would make a good a physical object. The dragon in the jar.
Oh,
you could probably sell the daylights out of them things, girl.
That would be really cool.
Could. Or you could do that. You could do that, and then you could make one with a little battery in its butt that blew a little flame out, or a little puff of smoke or something. What? It couldn't be a lot because it's in a jar.
Well,
I know it's cool as hell. You could. That's what I'm saying. You could definitely do it.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you projects. I want to see them. I want to see every winner get rich. That way, in 10 years, I go, I know them people. No, I'm serious. I want to see them all make it. I want to see everybody make it. Everybody I have met so far, I have really liked and enjoyed talking with. And I haven't found any like massive egos, which I was expecting. With the exception of Chris, I haven't found any massive egos. But I expected Blue Eyes to have an ego. He's just the kind of guy he is. But other than that, really, I haven't found anybody with massive egos. It's most of them are quite humble, know who they are, trying to make it in the world, trying to live their their love of whatever it may be, whether it's artwork or writing or whatever it may have you be. What do you mean sculptures? Sculptures would fall under with the illustrators. Yes, because a lot of illustrators can sculpt. Yeah, don't ask me. I'm not chiseling no rocks, and I'm not using no clay. I'm just going with yourself. Send it to Jennifer. Don't forget JenniferMellen.com, guys. Y'all can go over there, check out her stuff. I want her to put the damn dragon in a jar. I want to buy one and put it right here somewhere. Right next to Bob, actually. I'll put it right there next to Bob.
You're making my priority.
Yeah, so Bob can have some company. He Bob, you want a dragon? That's Bob the alien, by the way. But he said he could go for a dragon for company. He needs some protection from all these crazy people who watch him at night. But like I said, if you ever get something you just want to send us a picture or anything, because we give away a lot of stuff during Christmas. It'll sit somewhere up here. It'll either be on here or on top up there. We leave stuff up there all the time. Matter of fact, these poor books here, I don't think have moved in 2 years.
Can't hear you.
32, 30, 30, 33, 30, 36. They just sit up there. And those are autographs. I'm not going to give them away, but except for maybe book 30. I might give that one away, but the rest of them I'm not.
Now, I know we'll be seeing Jennifer in Salt Lake City in a few weeks. So the question still remains, Mr. Joe.
I don't know. I don't want to lie to you. I'll be telling you fibs if I tell you yes or no. I'll be telling you fibs. I enjoy Salt Lake City. It's a really nice place to hang out.
Yeah.
What's that, Pete? What do you mean? What are you talking about? No. Anyway, you're an idiot. He said the Mormons were going to take me away. I've been to Salt Lake City like 5 times, right, Chris? Matter of fact, I've been to several cities in Utah, and
I'd like to remind him too that this is America, where we've got a constitution that says you got freedom of religion. It's a good thing. It's called the First Amendment.
It's a fun state. It's really got a lot of interesting characteristics to the state.
And we sell more books than any convention in the United States. There's more literate people in Utah that like to buy books and read books. It's just amazing how much more we sell in Utah at Salt Lake City FanX than any other show.
It's amazing how many writers come out of Utah.
I know we've got more winners per capita in Utah than any other place too, but we outdo San Diego Comic Con, Tampa Comic Con. Atlanta's their second best one, Dragon Con, in Canada with Toronto Comic Con. Just the FanX just does better by far.
No, Steven, you mean that picture I was talking about earlier, the one I got posted? No, that's his wife, and Sarah is Jason's wife, the guy we were talking about earlier. Yes. And we were at Dragon Con. I mean, not Dragon Con. We were at
wasn't that Dragon Con last year?
I think it was Dragon Con last year.
Yeah, Dragon Con last year.
It was. I think it was Dragon Con. Well, I see him I was in LA with him too, so I don't. I'm pretty sure that was Dragon Con now. Yeah, it was. We had stopped by the bar, but he was dressed in black. It's they two are my favorite people. I love messing with them too. I just stay away from Sarah because she always puts me to work. It's Dragon Con's a lot of fun. If you ever get down there, it's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, of course. But of course, you got FanX in your own states. I mean, that's a big plus right there alone. And of course, there's always San Diego, which is down there. And then he goes to Tampa Con, so it's which is completely on the side of the country for you. And then there's some big one in Canada now. Actually, there's 2 big ones in Canada. I was talking with my manager about this the other day. She's a Canuck, and she was telling me about 2 big ones up there. I know John and them. Y'all got somebody that goes to one of them, don't you?
Yeah, we did this year because we're trying to get some of these conventions more author and book oriented. Unfortunately, Toronto is staying afloat by just having celebrities there. So they're
well, that's worthless then.
Yeah, it hasn't been. Rob Sawyer's had a problem with it. He doesn't go there anymore because they're just like they don't try to cater or appeal to authors and books.
They just in it for the dollar. Yeah, that's all they're just in it for the dollar.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Mike? No, I got to tell you, Mike. Now, John introduced me to the guy who owns Dragon Con. I've met him twice now.
Pat Henry.
I had lunch with him just earlier this year, and we sat and talked about a lot of stuff. That's why I wanted to go this year because planning on talking with him. And he's not all about the money. He's more about the fun.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he don't want to make money, but he's really more about the fun. We sat and talked at a lot of different tables. Well, it was an interview. We did it. Him and I and Bill did an interview, but this wasn't an interview. This was just lunch. And he's really more about the fun. He wants to enjoy himself. And he wants to enjoy. He wants to see everybody enjoy it. And I think, I hate to say it, but I think he gets a thrill out of watching y'all have a good time.
Yeah, he does.
The more him and I talked about it, the more bigger the smile came on his face. And of course, Bill told me that as well. Bill, what's Bill's last name? It's Jody's husband.
Bill Fawcett.
Yeah, and he was having.
Yeah, you can see Pat Henry. I'm on a post on my Facebook page, John Goodwin ASI, which is my Facebook page. You can see a picture of me with Pat Henry. About 4 posts down there.
Yeah, Pat's a he's a nice guy. And then John introduced me to some of the people over at FanX, and it's they got a great group of people. I haven't really met anybody yet that I would say were just anal about the money. Not yet, anyway. I'm not saying there's none out there. I don't want to. But so far, I haven't met any of them. And I'm not interviewing them as press. Usually, it's just a conversation, or either having lunch or something, or just chatting over dinner or something like that. I mean, we do official interviews, but those aren't. Because I like to know the truth about people. That's all. You mean Pat? I'll tell you this. He likes tomato soup, and the guy was so nice. He gave me his tomato soup. I ordered me some. I just told the girl because it smelled so good. I told the girl, bring me some. He said, no, just take my. I said, I can't eat your soup, dude. And he just wouldn't stop. I said, all right, give me the damn soup. But no, he's a character. I'm not gonna tell you he's not a character, but he's a lot of fun to talk to, and he's got his ideas the way things should work, and his con is a great one. It's Dragon Con will wear. I'll tell you this: if you're gonna go to Dragon Con, plan on going for 4 days?
Yeah.
It's
just Memorial Weekend, so it goes through Monday.
Yeah. So pack a lunch. Bring some energy drinks because there's a lot of walking going to be done. And again, Atlanta is not flat. Atlanta goes shh, shh, shh. Yeah. There's a lot of up and down hills. Every time I go see them, I lose about 12 pounds. I just gain it back when I get home. And I always lose 5 or 6 when I'm in there. If I just not eat, I'd be skinny as a baby. Nah, I don't want to get that skinny, but no, go. I can tell you. No, you can't go to Writers of the Future, but you can go to all these other things we talked about.
But definitely come visit us, and you'll be able to see Jennifer as well at FanX in Salt Lake City. This
say hi to Jen.
It's a couple weeks now. It's the 20th or something like that.
Yeah, when y'all see Jennifer at Dragon Con, at FanX this year, y'all should commission the dragon in a jar. Okay, I'm just saying, get a girl some money so she'll make some of these things.
Yeah,
it's not stuck in my head, Jennifer. I'm gonna be bugging you for the next 2 years. I'll be talking about this on a show for weeks from now. I'll probably bring it up on news and a flip side. Y'all gotta get Jennifer to get us a dragon in a jar. Actually, when I first seen that picture, I showed it to a friend of mine. He's like, "What is that?" And I handed him the book. I said, "Here, it's a dragon." He said, "It was freaking brilliant." He said, "Why can't I think of things like that?" I said, because our brains don't work that way, man. I hate to say it, but it was just, it was unique, and unique things do well in our country.
Yeah,
because there's so much repetition, and even with it, once it got out there, it would be, but still, if you were making money off of it, a mason jar, a little stuffed dragon, or maybe a little 3D digital dragon. It's what are you talking about, Carl? Oh, you should do one with a hologram inside. I don't know about that. That's getting a little expensive there now. It's yeah. Like the girl got enough ideas, leave her alone. Anyway, these people in my chat group over here are being morons. I know we got to get you out of here and let you get out of here because we already passed the top of the hour. But one more time, tell them where they can find you, what you're going to be up to.
She's gonna find me at jennifermellen.com, and then all my social media stuff's on there, and I'll be at FanX, and I'll be at Dragonsteel Nexus.
Yeah. Wait, what was that last one?
Dragonsteel Nexus.
What the hell is that? Oh, wait a minute. You got to tell me about this. What is this?
Yeah, that's Brandon Sanderson's convention.
Oh, okay. I like Brandon. Brandon's a lot of fun. It's one of these days I'm gonna have to go check out some of these other guys when I got some free time and some extra cash running around. Marco, yeah, feel free. Look, you can go to iCar, you can go right on UPRN and make a donation. Yeah, feel free. UPRNtalkradio.com. Yeah, it's really easy to find. You can't get it wrong. Big yellow donating button at the top of this.
Yeah, I'll put my own plug on that too. It's like the degree that we have additional monies to be able to promote the show, then the more people we can reach. We're like over 100 countries right now, but we can grow even more if we get more support. We have our beloved sponsors for sure. And we have Coke, we've got Carnation, and
we're getting ready to move some stuff around because we've been having problems with one of our pay companies. I think it's Skrill. All of a sudden they just you got 5 credit cards here. Why do you want more? I said they're all old and expired. Delete them. You'd think I'd ask them to give me their first child or something. I'm not kidding you. I'm just not kidding you, people. So there's little things like that. But I think we're going to move over to Patreon or somebody or we mean, Mark, we're already on PayPal. Yeah, we use PayPal for a lot of things. But
anyway, if you like this show, please show it. Anything will actually help to be able to promote it and get it even to more people here, because it is about the arts and supporting the arts, and we're able to reach a lot of people. When Joe, after the show's over with, he'll say, "Here's the breakdown," because he's got his servers all over the world that we're getting on. So we're up to 1.8 million listens now per episode. So we definitely have to push over 2 million and build up to 3 million.
Actually, what did Writers do today? Writers did 1697065, right at 1.7 million. That was Writers of the Future, and
that's the best yet.
Yeah, and actually, I'm surprised it didn't go over. Professional, which is Echo Chernick, she's one of the coordinating judges, illustrated coordinated judges. She did 44365 tonight. Yeah, 440,365. And last time I pulled this one, we were sitting at 1,837,231. 1.8 million people listening tonight. And they're all waving at Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, you got to watch these weirdos. They were trying to get Elise's phone number early. You got to watch these weirdos, man. Oh, Lord. People in the radio business could. Yes. Oh, where you are? Oh, okay. I got you. So, we're on television these days. So we're on Roku television and we're on Rumble's on television on Roku. So they were looking at when you had it up, they froze it and we're looking through TV. Because you can see it much better. It's much better detail from Roku. It's in 4K, so you get every detail of that picture. A friend of mine from one of the other networks was writing to me going, "Oh, you think she'll give me that picture?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "Go buy it." I said, "She'll give you a copy, man. She'll sell you a copy. Go buy it." And if this guy, John Whiskers, writes into you, charge him triple whatever you would charge. Yeah, John, because you're stinking filthy rich, dude. Come on. What do you... Last time I talked to your wife, how much are you worth? I'm not even going to say it on air, but come on. I mean, this guy.
Anyway, anybody's listening,
be sure you charge him.
Also donate to the show too to help us so we can continue to grow it.
Yes, John, you heard that, you cheap ass, to go donate some money to the network. Yeah, I can get away with that because he's a friend, but you got a lot of good feedback tonight. It was really nice to see it going across. A lot of people were happy to see it, and for some reason, the Dragon in a Jar, once it hit the thing, was a big success. Well, it was great the first time I seen it, guys. Well, I tell you what, you can go buy. Where's this book?
Can they buy that individual illustration, Jennifer?
If I don't have it up right now, I will make sure that it gets up soon. But yeah, I have.
Go ahead, put it up.
Work available.
Put it up. They'll definitely sell it. I love that illustration.
Let me know when you put it up, and I'll mention it on Friday's show, which has got about 4 million listeners. But if you don't want to wait, you can get it in this book right here. It's in book 40, the ones I'm pointing at right there. You can buy this. It's only $50. No, I'm just teasing. I think what is it, $19.99 or $21? I've forgotten. I'd have to go look. But
yeah, I'm near $22.95.
$22.95. See, I was giving y'all a discount of $50. See, galaxypress.com, but you can get it on Amazon and Books A Million and all of them. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh no. Okay, I'd have to ask John about this. So they do signed books, and they do give them to Barnes & Noble and Books A Million, but I would think they would be gone by now.
Yeah, if you were to go to galaxypress.com, and you can go on there and just ask. You were told about getting an autographed copy of the book. You'd like to purchase that, and then we can sell that.
Yeah.
We have a
you-
few of them left.
Yeah, you can do that. No, you're not getting mine. Yes, I do get 2 every year. You're not getting either one of them. No. I give away a lot of these. No. You're not getting mine. Forget it. Just like me asking for this picture, you're not getting it either. I tell you what, whoever got my pad out there, you give me my pad back, I'll give you one of the autographs. There you go. How's that? Yeah, it's going to work about that. Anyway, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and hanging out with Jennifer Mellen and John Goodwin and Elise Stephens and myself. I hope y'all all enjoyed the show. Any moans, groans, bitches, gripes, or complaints, please write to Michelle DeRoche, courtesy of Michelle DeRoche. Yes, she's in Canada. Yes, she's in Canada in Niagara Falls. Go. I tell you what, I dare you to write Michelle Badly. Just go ahead. I dare you. I triple dare you. I quadruple dare you. What do you mean? No, she don't own a network. I own a network, but she's the boss. Oh no, she's the boss. She's in charge of all production. Everything that goes on a network is her headache. Yes. But again, any moans, groans, bitches, or complaints, you write to Michelle DeRoche, courtesy of Michelle DeRoche on the Outer Realm. Yes. On that note, we're going to get out of here. Don't forget, if you didn't catch Writers of the Future today, it will re-air over to actually tomorrow. Matter of fact, all 3 of these shows today will re-air tomorrow, so you can catch them on Sunday around noon and listen to them there. The archive for 92 is either up or going to be up today, so y'all can get it. Now, some of this stuff is going into featured mode, so it might get moved around a little bit. But other than that, y'all should be able to catch them up and enjoy any shows you want. If you've heard something on the network and you can't find it, you can write to me. But the best way to do it is just to type in on Google or any of our search engines on any of our sites and just type in what you're looking for, and it'll usually come right up. SoundCloud is SoundCloud and Facebook is where we keep most of our archives, so you can find them there. Be sure to go check them out. Oh, you mean Podbean? We're going to bring Podbean back. We had a little disagreement on what unlimited means. Yes. Well, we had a disagreement on it. Well, when I bought them, it was unlimited. Everything was unlimited. And all of a sudden, they would cut my last week off saying we exceeded our bandwidth. Wait, that's unlimited. It's unlimited. What are you talking about? So anyway, we've worked that out now. So probably next week you'll start seeing it again. On that note, good night and stay tuned for The Gray Zone with Michelle DeRoche and myself. It is a rerun. This is on, I believe, time travel tonight. So you can go check it out and see what's going on. Oh, the Gray Zones you can only purchase or catch when we play them. They're not available in any archive. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry to say, but we're going to go, and I will see y'all all. I will be back on Wednesdays. John will be back with us next Saturday.
And I'll see you in a couple weeks, Jennifer.
Yes, and Jennifer will be up there. Jennifer will be throwing a big party up at Utah, so y'all be sure to tune up to FanX. You know, Mark, all right, real quick before we leave, I did not go to the alien place. I cannot believe I drove past it. Even Linda was like, you driving past it? So when you leave Moab, Utah, people, and you're headed towards the interstate, right where the interstate starts and this highway ends in the interstate, there's a big, massive Joe alien place. I haven't been in it. Next time I go there, I'll stop. Yes, I can promise you I'll stop. I don't know. Well, because twice I stopped in places in Colorado and was asked for autographs. So it's a little weird to me. Yeah. Even Linda was kind of like, have you done something recently? I said, not that I know of. It's just a little weird. It always is. But on that note, good night and stay tuned for The Gray Zone, and we'll see y'all next week.